Hi there, it's Kevin with GatheringMagic.com with this week's episode of, I guess we'll call this Not So Rogues Alley, because this week I'm just going to run what I called Old Faithful. This is green-black energy. We are in a unique time here on MTG where rotation has occurred, so Ixalan cards are actually legal but don't exist yet, and anything that's being reprinted, so the check lands, like Drowned Catacomb, for example, are legal at the moment. But all of the cards from Shadows of Innistrad and Battle for Zendikar have rotated. So I thought I'd just kind of test the water and see what people are coming up with. I'm very interested in brewing a lot of decks when Ixalan comes out. I already have some archetypes I have in mind. Anyway, green-black energy hasn't seen play for quite a while. It's a very solid deck. It has game versus everything, as it has one of the best curves in Magic. Was it Paul Rietzel that went very far at the Pro Tour with a very similar deck to one you see in front of you. Just the key components to this deck are going to be Winding Constrictor. What this deck does lose is Nissa, but Nissa wasn't that big of a deal. It was good versus some of the Torrential Gearhulk matches because it was an inevitable card that ticked up and then drew a lot of cards. But sometimes there were some awkward draws with Nissa. So we're just going to play a little heavier on the Verdurous Gearhulks and the Rishkar Peema Renegade to kind of make up for the loss of Nissa. So this deck usually just uses Fatal Push as a removal and Blossoming Defense to protect your own cards. And those are the non-creature spells in the deck, and everything else is trying to get value off of a good curve with the creatures. So first turn you're not going to do anything, maybe Fatal Push something or Attune with Aether, or have... I guess there isn't any tap lands left in this deck because of the man land that rotated. But so then turn number 2, you are going to want to throw out either a Winding Constrictor, a Longtusk Cub, or a Glint-Sleeve Siphoner. And this is where this deck shines. If your opponents kind of stumble on turn 2, this is a lot of times where you get ahead and just the amount of tempo or just amount of pressure you create off turn number 3 with either the Winding Constrictor, Longtusk Cub, or Glint-Sleeve Siphoner out is sometimes backbreaking if they don't have an answer. So turn 3 we have Rhonas, Rishkar, and Aether Harvester. We're going to run 2 Rishkars and then 1 Rhonas and 1 Harvester. Then on the 4 drop you have 4 Bristling Hydras that can be a real pain for our opponents to deal with. And as it gets we have plenty of energy in this deck, and it gets hexproof if you remove 3 energy, puts +1 counter. So again, good synergy with the Winding Constrictor here. And then 3 Verdurous Gearhulks, just to kind of curve off the nice tempo. A lot of times Verdurous Gearhulks can be hooked up to the Glint-Sleeve Siphoners and have this kind of menace unblockable damage. Or it can be hooked up to the Walking Ballista, which is our double X spell, which we're going to run a playset of these. The sideboard is kind of all over the place right now. I'm playing 2 Gonti Lord of Luxuries for kind of the mirrors. The Teamer Energies is a great card because it's something they have to take care of, as well as usually find something like a Glorybringer or a removal spell with the Gonti. 2 Skysovereign Consul's Flagship, because again, this is the Mirror Breaker. It does very well versus those particular decks. Doomfalls is going to be our, I would say, our replacement for like Transgress. It is a 3-mana spell, but that in this deck, that's not that big of a deal because you almost always want to cast a 2-drop. So Doomfall actually occurs perfectly after a Cub or a Glint-Sleeve Siphoner. And same thing with Never to Return. It's something that can take care of a problematic card out of the graveyard as well as a Planeswalker or creature. Sorcery Speed's a little bit awkward, but it's the best we have at the moment. 2 Dispossesses, mainly because we are worried about Torrential Gearhulk, and a Lost Legacy to get rid of other kind of what I call one-trick pony decks. So you can oftentimes Lost Legacy the approach to the Second Sun and then they can't win. We're also going to run a Crook of Condemnation versus the pesky graveyard-based decks. I still think that Godpharaoh's Gift is very well positioned. And there are still decks that utilize the graveyard quite a bit. Dreamstealers come in versus the control decks, as it's really fun to get Dreamstealer hooked up with a Rishkar, or after that with like a Verdurous Gearhulk, as their hand you get rid of their hand quite easily, and then the Eternalize coming back as a 4/4 is really, really powerful. And then just a 1 of Dissenter's Deliverance to take care of any sort of artifact. If they bring in like Skysovereign Consul Flagships against us, it's a good card, flex card to throw in. So that's kind of the gist of the deck, maybe more Dissenter's Deliverance in the main. But yeah, I'm very, very experienced with this deck, so hopefully we can go pretty far with this deck. I don't know if we can queue it up if there's enough people actually playing. in the competitive. If not, we'll just throw in some solo queues and see how well this deck does. This has been Kevin with GatheringMagic.com. You can follow us along in the description as well as in the comment section for the timestamps for the game. So we're going to play 4, and then I'll play 1 more on my channel. And as soon as we get the Ixalan cards, we'll start brewing around with Ixalan. All right, so match number 1. This is a keepable hand. We do have to burn the energy from the Aether Hub for the Attune Aether, but then we have the Constrictor Walking Ballista combo. Rhonas is nice here as well. Go ahead and keep this. And we are going up against a mountain, which of course could be anything at this point. There's a Blossoming Defense to help protect if it is a Gearhulk deck. That's nice. And we'll go ahead and run out the hub. Use the energy for Attune with Aether and just grab a forest. I think the forest is better to guarantee that we have the energy for the Siphoners and other cards that are going to use it later on, the Cubs. If this is ramming up red, this is usually one of the better matchups for the deck. We are light on the Harvesters, so that's what it looks like it is. So next turn, we can actually just put out the Winding Constrictor. It can hit an Abrade. I might just decide to use a Fatal Push instead. We'll see how this ramming up red works without the burn spells. So I think we could actually burn a Walking Ballista here. I don't know if I need it, because I'd like to protect my Winding Constrictor. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm just going to Ballista for 1. And then that way it can block something and kill off the Earthshaker Kenra. So unless like a Crop Captain comes here and makes it not block, we can still kill off the Kenra. And I'm assuming this is fine. I don't really care to take the damage. There's not a pump spell at the moment in the anything. There's not like Titan Strength, right? Everything that pumps right now is +0. Yeah, since we have the other one, I think it's fine just to kill it. I guess I should have blocked first, just to make sure there wasn't some sort of pump. And there is a Pia Nalar. Usually not used in ramming up, but I guess. Oh, so Glint-Sleeve Siphoner. No, I still think it's just going to be the Constrictor. I'd rather protect it. I do have to pay a life here for the Constrictor. But so far, so good. It blocks the Pia. We can Blossoming Defense as well to protect it. We also have a Fatal Push. And next turn, hopefully we can draw land because the Walking Ballista will be really good. So, oh yeah, they get Lightning Strike. I forgot about that. So Ramming Up Red is pretty good here. So we'll go ahead and Blossoming Defense it. See if he's got another Lightning Strike. If so, that's 6 damage that we're able to absorb off of the Constrictor. No, that ended up working out very well. Opponent's just going to be able to get in for 1. Unless my opponent wrangles it here. I would hate that. Oh no, it's hexproof. So it's going to get in for 2 damage with the Thopter. So I believe next turn we will hopefully draw into a land. If not, again, the Walking Ballista with the Fatal Push man up is fine. We do get the land. Yeah, I'm just going to double up on the Ballista. And there is another Lightning Strike, sure. that one happens. We'll block the Peema. I'm sure my opponent's just going to pump up the Thopter. And there's another Earthshaker Kenra coming down. And we're in great shape. All right, we get another swamp. I don't think that matters too much. I think we're just going to... I could start going to the Noggin. As that's a quick clock, and I actually could race. So let's see. Let's just do the math. If I can get him down to 8 as quickly as possible, that's pretty lethal. I have the Fatal Push as backup. I also have the ability to kill off the Thopter. I think I do attack here. Sometimes the worst thing to do against these red decks is to stay flat-footed. Now I am open up to a Hazoret, but again, it's something that I can turn the corner really quickly against this deck. Because I can always just kill the Earthshaker Kenra. I can kill both of them if they swing in. And I think I'm going to do that. Yeah, that's fine. We take care of both of them. And there's another Peema Nalar. And a Soulscar Mage, which I think is fine just to push. The Soulscar Mage. So Cub here is interesting. But I could just keep playing the Ballista route. So we can get in it for possibly 3. But I don't like that play. We're going to go with the Siphoner. Which gives us a Cub. And I'm not going to use a Cub quite yet. Now, I could trade the Walking Ballista with the Peema. I don't think I do. Yeah, I feel very far ahead now. So we did know that Hazard was probably going to come down. So I might need to sacrifice my Ballista here. I could put the Cub in front of him, but I think I'd rather draw some cards. Because my Rhonas can start blocking. Or would I rather have some energy on my Cub? Yeah, I think we're going to block the Hazard, kill the Peema. No trample, right? Just indestructible haste, yep. So... take care of the Peema. We just take 1. And I can't quite get the... yes, I can get the Cub online, so I'm not going to draw a card because I'd rather have Rhonas online to block. There's a Constrictor. I can actually cast both. That was a good draw. And we will have the energy to also cast the Rhonas later on. So we'll Constrictor. And now we'll attack with both of these. Unfortunately, I can't get another... Oh, we can remove both, yeah. Put a +1/+1 counter. Put a +1/+1 counter. And then we actually gain some energy here. And it's going to be perfect energy, too, because it allows me to have the energy. For Rhonas. Who can now block the Hazoret. So now my opponent's in very, very terrible shape because just staring down lethal next turn. Had a pretty good hand, though. Double Lightning Strike, 2 Earthshaker Conjurers, 2 P and Alars. I don't think that you can call that a bad hand. That was perfect. 4 mana. Yeah, depending on what was in my opponent's hand. So the cards that we want to bring in... I think Gonti ends up being a pretty good card in this matchup. But it all depends. It's like, I think Verdurous Gearhulks are the weak link. Yeah, we can turn on our opponent, but I'd like to have a little bit smaller curve. So something like Verdurous Gearhulk is really, really powerful. And then Never to Return I don't like. Dreamstealer I kind of do like. But it's not necessary. We can either keep one Verdurous Gearhulk and just play like this heavy creature base and just clog up the board, or we can go for like Never to Return. But that one just doesn't seem that great either. Yeah, the Doomfall just seems really bad, but it is more removal that can kill a Hazoret. I'm just going to bring in a 1 just in case we have to run up against a Hazoret. Doomfall might actually be good in this match. Over a Gonti, though, a very good hand. We have a turn 2 Cub with a counter. And my opponent doesn't have a turn 1 again. No Beaumont Courier or Soulscar Mage, I think, are the ones they're playing. What do they get? A Pirate after this? Or they get the Goblin? Is it that gets a +1/+1 counter if you attack the creature? Another Attune. It's pretty powerful. As now it allows for my Hydra. And it also allows for a 4/4 Cub. So here's probably a Kenra. Carry Zev. I'm going to put a counter on it right now just so I can play around Magma Spray or Shock. And if I get Lightning Striked, I get Lightning Strike. Soulscar Mage. A Braid, okay. That works. I take 3. Fatal Push is good here because I think I'd rather do Cub and Fatal Push. Or do I do Cub and Attune? Nah, Cub and Fatal Push is probably the better play, so we'll go Cub. Sun-Scorched Desert. See, I don't like killing the Carry Zevs because there could be another one in, but I might before attacks happen. So Carry Zev's Expertise. Sure. Prowess on the Soulscar Mage, more important. See what it ends up playing with the 2 mana, though. nothing. So I dish off less damage by killing the Karizev here. And I only take 4. Ends up being pretty good. Down to 12. My opponent gets some energy, though. Does he want to put a counter on my Longtusk Cub for me? That's rude. All right, so I think that we'll just play a Gonti. And this is actually probably an Abrade over... No, Pia is just better at clogging up the board. Do believe I'll attack him with the Cub. Gets me some more energy. I think a lot of people lose to the red because they become too flat-footed against the red deck. It's where you play too defensively. Karizev's expertise again on the Cub. And a Braid. So I'm going to be taking a lot of damage here. My opponent's nice and gives me +1/+1 counter. I do take 6, though, and go down to an 8. So we'd have to worry about those ramming up runes. So I 100% go crazy here with attacking you with Cubs. Because these do 2? Yeah, okay. Still in good shape. Shock. Okay, even more. So I'm down to a 3. Well, my opponent is out of cards, so what's the quickest way I can just win? It's going to be using an Attune. Dumping everything on. It's going to be an Attune for sure. And then dumping everything on the Longtusk Cub. Get my opponent down to an 8. That way we have lethal next turn. And I also have hexproof on this Bristling. So my opponent needs to just get a lightning strike off the top. That's not going to do it. We win next turn with the Pia Nalar. Ooh, yeah, can't block, right? Target creature can't block. Okay, so his own Pia Nalar is going to win the game for me. And that's a wrap. So I guess, yeah, ramming up red still seems pretty legit. With the, I forgot about the Lightning Strike reprint. And that's just a great replacement for Incendiary Flow. Probably just better because of the instant speed. And Soul Scar Mage, I think it's a very competent replacement for the 2-1. Doesn't die as easy to Walking Ballista either. We'll queue up another one. Alright, match number 2. This is another solid hand. It has the first turn Attune with Aether. We're what, 3 for 3 so far with the tunes on turn 1. And it is kind of slow. We don't have the 2-drop, but Walking Ballista can be used as a 2-drop. Our opponent also mulliganed, which is... okay, so we were right. Ramming Up Red is going to be kind of a duh. This is a different player. But this one starts off the Beaumont Courier, which we haven't played against a 1-drop yet. So Walking Ballista probably needs to come out as quickly as possible. We do have a Fatal Push now, though, for either the Beaumont Courier or... we'll go with the Kenra. I have 3 cards left in my hand, in my opponent's hand. I may just need to shoot off the... we'll play a Walking Ballista. And see what comes down. I think I do need to shoot it off. Depends, like if another Kenra comes out. Another Beaumont Courier. So now we can block and kill. Does my opponent want to discard their hand? There could be... cards in there. I think I just let it go through. Because we have the Rishkar, then can pump both of them. I think we need to just shoot it off right now before that one stacks. But we'll shock and then sack the Courier to get 2 cards back in hand. All right, so the Beaumont Couriers really worked this time around. I'd love to hit a 2-drop just so I can go Attune and... like a Cub here would be great. Still only 2 cards in my opponent's hand, though. Another Gearhulk. I think I need to go Rishkar. Running a Hope of Garipur as well. 2 cards still left in my opponent's hand. Could be another shock. We do make this trade, regardless of what happens here. Now, my opponent just had a land and a shock. I'm surprised he didn't unload the shock that time. Huh. Interesting. Still 2 cards. And there is a Lightning Strike. Lightning Strike does work okay. Blooming Marsh comes in tapped, sure. Only 1 card now. And there is nothing for my opponent. So we can play a Winding Constrictor if we want to be really greedy. But I think we just throw out the Bristling Hydra. Well, because 6 mana, no, we'll throw out a big Gearhulk. It can get abraded, sure. That's a quick clock. And if we draw on the land, we can go the Constrictor, Bristling Hydra, and that puts 2 counters. All right, just a strike to my face. There is a Carry Zev. Not worried about Carry Zev, even though we're down to an 11. Because we do have the Winding Constrictor Cub. That's a great play. And we'll have lethal next turn. Or near lethal. My opponent can't attack in. It doesn't matter. We get... Just going to sack a Ramming Up Ruins. Oh, an Eternalized Kenra. That's actually pretty good. For some reason, I think that was 7, but yep, it's 6. All right. We'll go ahead and throw a counter on the Cub. Just the Kenra. So does my opponent... Yeah, we have lethal next turn, so let's let this go through. Because this has trample. And we're going to spread the counters around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. The Gearhulk. My opponent only has 1 blocker. So we'll spread 2 here. Yeah, like that. And we'll go to the sideboard. So my opponent is running a lot of Hope of Garipers, and so the Dissenter's Deliverance wouldn't be terrible, but I don't think those are really worth killing. The Never Return does get rid of the Kenras out of the graveyard, but I'm still under the impression that Gontis are really good here. And the Verdurous Gearhulks are unnecessary. Just the 1 is probably okay. Yeah, again, it could be the Doomfall for the Hazoret. But I think I'd rather just go one of Verdurous Gearhulk. We only want to see 1. Oh, the Rhonas is another one that I think is unnecessary. So maybe one of Doomfall is okay. Both Doomfalls actually might be okay. Are they just better than Verdurous Gearhulk? Verdurous Gearhulk can turn the tides, though. Yeah, I don't think it's necessary. We could actually even take out like Glint-Sleeve Siphoners. They don't do a lot. And then put in Doomfalls. Well, we got our Doomfalls. I think I keep this. We have a lot of action. There's a Hope of Gariper. Not too worried about a Hope. There's a Bristling Hydra. So Doomfall can practically rip something out of my opponent's hand. Carry Zev, alright. There's our Longtusk Cub. And I still think it's better because we know that the shocks are in there. So we're just going to go ahead and just put the counter on before there's some sort of shock. Okay, so same thing as last time, a braid. And we're getting hit hard this time. So Doomfall most likely will want to take out something in my opponent's hand. And that's not a big deal. It kind of is, actually. Oh, it has another hope in hand, so okay, so that's hopefully we get a creature here. Verdurous Gearhulk. Doomfall is a sorcery. Yeah, that actually the hope was pretty clutch there. Might lose this one. I mean, Bristling Hydra's can be pretty good here. Next turn. We take another 4. My opponent, though, just hasn't dished off enough damage. 2 Round Up Ruins out, though. I don't know, though. Actually, the Hope of Gearhulk is unblockable. I can block the Monkey, though. So it actually would... Okay, so he's going to make my life easy here by... Fatal Push is a good draw. Oh, too bad. We do have the... I almost want to start attacking with the Bristling Hydra because we're very similar to the last thing. I mean, we can just attack in for lethal. But I think we're going to split 2 and 2. Even for 7, that puts it down to a 13. I don't think I do. We have to keep these back. I can't take any more damage. There's... A Glorybringer doesn't do too much, except... It does 4 damage right now. See if the Exert will go through. No Exert. So we're going to block and block. Here and here and take 5. Wait, no. We block and block here, like here and take 6. That'll put us down to a 3. And then we can lethal in 2 turns. So, yep, that's the right play. Oh, no, I can't because... Oh, we have the Fatal Push. Yeah, block. Okay. So we'll take 5. Go to a 4, which is still 2 activations. Harvester's really good if we can get it to hit 1 turn. We are very susceptible, though. We do have an energy. Good, okay. I don't know if it matters. No, I think I'd rather go for Doomfall here. Because we have lethal next turn. Again. And not enough mana for my opponent to probably even cast anything. Like, the only thing that can win here is a Shock and a Ramming Up Ruins. The Strangler's not very good because we have the Doomfall. As well as a Blossoming Defense right there would be enough. And that's all she wrote. Another Ramming Up Ruins. Hopefully we can go up against something else, but Energy's doing very, very solid at the moment. Okay, match number 3. We get to play first this time. I think that's the first time this... No Attune with Aether. And this is the one where I actually would want an Attune on first turn. We can still lead off with the Glint-Sleeve Siphoner on turn number 2, though. So let's go Blooming Marsh and pass the turn. I really apologize if everyone and their grandma is going to be running Ramming Up Red. Not much I can do against that. These are 3 different opponents. My Glint-Sleeve Siphoner does not get a shock. Still think Glint-Sleeve is the best one. Jeez, I apologize. The creativity of... I mean, I'm playing a tier 1 deck too, but you'd think that we'd get... less people playing this deck. We're just going to run out another Siphoner. Took my opponent's turn 2. But at least we know this deck does very well against this match. Magma Spray, though, main board on this one. Must be preparing more for the mirror. And now my opponent's out of removal, most likely. There's the Courier. Opponent's not going to like my next turn with the Winding Constrictor, Walking Ballista. If we draw, we have no dead draws here because it leads to a Verdurous Gearhulk. If not, guess we should just call this series the Green-Black Energy versus Ramming Up Red. There's a Rhonas. We'll lead off with the Constrictor. And the good old Ballista. My opponent has a Scavenger Grounds and 4 cards. There is a Karizev. Oh, it's a Blooming Marsh into play tapped. But this Walking Ballista can just get out of hand. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to double block the Carry Zev. Wait for my opponent to respond. Sure. Does get in for 2 damage, I'm not sure about that attack. Because I still want to respond to any sort of... Oh, had another one, okay. And a Soul Scar Mage. And we'll put a +1 counter on the Walking Ballista. And then go crazy with this guy. And now we're the aggro deck. So here comes a Glory Bringer. Oh, because it puts the counters. Okay, that's fine. I'll allow that to happen. I see where it went. But that is perfectly fine. As we will just... swing back in. My opponent is more than welcome to block. We got a good old Rhonas. And my opponent is dead next turn. So there's Hazoret. Hazoret's not going to do anything. As we have lethal on board just from the Walking Ballista alone. Or the trample damage. Or so many things here. Let's just make this simple. Attacking with everything. And it's lethal right there. Just by attacking with everything. Okay, we've seen this sideboard a bazillion times. The Gontis come in. The Never Return actually does seem a little bit better in this one. So does Skysovereign Consul's Flagship, just because it can kill creatures as it comes in. I don't like Rhonas in this one. The Glint-Sleeve Siphoners are also probably not that good against Magma Sprays. So I'm going to try Skysovereign Consul's Flagship in this one. See how well that does. As well as bring in a Doom. The Doomfalls did tend to do good. So just one Skysovereign, 2 Doomfalls. And we'll submit this. Yeah, I don't think there's a point with Magma Spray. I know the whole point of this deck is to try to get a 2-drop out. Soulscar Mage. All right, it's a Blooming Marsh, which is not what we wanted to draw. And my opponent's just going to go for the aggro. Which is okay, I guess. There is a Cub. So Cub is interesting. My opponent used a shock. I think, though, that the better play is just a Walking Ballista. Because it kills an Earthshaker Kenra if it comes out. And then we have we can protect the Cub, or we can Rishkar on the Walking Ballista. So you take 3, go down to 10, but my opponent's out of cards. The shocks didn't really do much. They just were lightning bolts with the Soulscar Mage. But I feel pretty good with our position right now. I mean, I could even Doomfall right now to get rid of a Soulscar Mage. And this gives us a little more action. We'll go Hub. And then green and 1 for the Cub. And we have a lot of ways, either through Blossoming Defense or Fatal Push. My opponent needs some phenomenal top decks. Hazoret's still good, but I mean, we have the Fatal Push Doomfall for Hazoret. And we just won't do anything, I guess. You can actually rip out his hand with the Doomfall. Oh, I don't think I'd want to play a Attune with Aether, because I think I want to go... Nope, we can do Blossoming Defense and Fatal Push. I'm okay with that. And once again, I think we just switch to the more aggressive strategy. Fair enough. So maybe it is Hazoret my opponent is going to want to go, so I should have Doomfalled there. Yeah, I definitely should have Doomfalled. That was my bad. Glorybringer. See if the Exert happens. Okay, perfect. So we do take the damage. My opponent does have the Roundup Rune, so we need to switch gears as quickly as possible. So I think I do need to Doomfall that. Glorybringer? No, we have another turn for the Doomfall on the Glorybringer, so I think the best case scenario is just to, yeah, to slam out this Bristling Hydra. And we can Doomfall out the next turn. And then we have the Fatal Push. Open. All right, so we get another energy. Only one card in hand. Could be another Glorybringer. That'd be detrimental. And 2 cards. Hour of Devastation. Okay. I think that was a pretty terrible card for my opponent to play. Now, do I Doomfall? That is the question. I don't think I do. I think I just go... Rishkar? And we'll do a Cub. See where that takes us. All right, so Hazoret's not a problem. Bomakuri gives a blocker. Doesn't matter. Yeah, we have lethal. So Doomfall actually works pretty good in this deck. And 3-0 versus Raminap Red, which 3 opponents running it means it's the popular deck out the gates. We'll play one more. Hopefully it's not another Raminap Red. All right, match 4. See if we can get a non-Raminap Red deck. This is our first mulligan. Would have been an awesome hand if it with one more land or Attune with the Aether, but we do have to ship it back. And hey, well, we get a very similar hand, which is keepable with the Attune. And the Cub, is something that I don't want. I want to hit another land as soon as possible. It doesn't matter where we put it because we're attuning. So yeah, that scry is pointless. Okay. Let's see a land that is not called a mountain. One time. Canyon. Okay, it's different. It is a mountain, but it's a black-red mountain. And we'll lead off with the Longtusk Cub. Red-black is a difficult matchup with a lot of fatal pushes and magma sprays. Ooh, I need to turn off auto yields here because I do have the 2 energy. We'll take Brawler. So I guess we're racing. I would love to hit a land here. But we missed the land, but we have a Fatal Push and a Blossoming Defense. So I will 100% race whatever my opponent is trying to play. This could be the Jund energy. A lot of times what you can get with Jund energy is Licensed Disintegration and Heart of Kran, because everything can crew the Heart of Kran in the deck. We'll take Brawlers. You a lot of times play the Scrap Heap Scrounger. And it didn't lose a lot. You still have Cut to Ribbons as your other removal spell. Fatal Push, Cut to Ribbons, and Unlicensed Disintegration makes a very, very versatile removal package. But we will race here. Licensed Disintegration would be a little bit of a problem. Cut to Ribbons would not be now, as the Cub is above where we want to be. I do want to leave up a Blossoming Defense now. The whole name of the game is to protect the Cub. So see if Brawler wants to come in. Indeed. So the race is on, 16 to 16. My opponent does have the card advantage and the land advantage. No, Fatal Push does happen. And Brawler number 2. I think we're just going to push one of them. I hate to do that because it feels like we're playing from behind here. Maybe I should have waited till the energy. And there's the Unlicensed Disintegration. All right, we take 4 here. That hurts. We need to hit a land. We do hit a land. That's a good one, too, because it gets us closer to the Bristling Hydra. But the Brawler is going to do a lot of work. Bristling Hydra is insanely good versus this deck, though. Another Attune. Yeah, it's a must-hit land next turn, or either a land or a Rishkar. So we're taking another 4. This also could be a Pummeler deck. I doubt it, though, with Fatal Push. But we're very similar strategies. Huh. I'm going to accept this. We're behind. We missed. The Prowling Serpopard. Greenbelt Rampager and a Scrap Heap. Alright, so I think no matter how we cut it, we're dead next turn. We missed the land drops. The mulligan hurt. That was the difference in the game. I don't think we need cards like Doomfall or never. Like, Gonti is insanely good here. And so is the Skysovereign Consul's Flagship. Both of those are really, really powerful. This is where Rhonas, you can make the argument that in these mirrors, they're decent. I like Glint-Sleeve Siphoner in this one, but it might come down to Glint-Sleeve Siphoner actually being the weak link, though. We want the Blossoming Defenses. We want the Fatal Pushes. Fatal Pushes do a ton of work. We want the Cubs. We do want... The Siphoners, though, will require... I think that we'll get rid of 2 Siphoners and possibly even 1 Gearhulk. Probably should have brought in the Dissenter's Deliverance. I bet Hardacran is in here. Yes, we'd like to play first. And this is keepable. We're in a very similar position as we were last time. But without a mulligan. So we have Blossoming Defense and the Constrictor again. My opponent has to mulligan this time. And there's a Rampager. Get another Fatal Push, but not what we wanted. Let's take out the Winding Constrictor and hopefully draw a land next turn because it allows for some really good interactions. Scrappy Scrounger. And we did not hit it. I think we will go another Winding Constrictor and just get in there for 2. Not happy with this. Missing the land drop yet again. My opponent's missing a black source, though. I will take the damage. The Rampager does work out this time, but it spends the energy. So we get a kill. We get a Fatal Push off the Rampager and then get it for 4. Oh, that's rough. But we're in great shape if we do get a land, because that does allow for Rishkar, which is very powerful with double Constrictors. However, my opponent is progressing and we are not. We do have another Fatal Push, though. The Serpopard's kind of awkward. But we do hit it. So, Rishkar is going to come in. We're going to leave one back as a blocker. As well as a Blossoming Defensor. Or do we just go in here? No. Now we're in decent shape. There's an Aether Hub, which does allow for the disintegration, but we do have the ability to protect it. And it looks like that's what my opponent's trying to do. We'll take the damage. Tempting just to throw out. The whole thing is my opponent has to block with the Serpopard, which I do believe is worth it. And then we'll have a Fatal Push back. So I think the correct play is just to attack in with everything. As now this forces off the block. So my opponent needs like an unlicensed disintegration this turn as well. We'll Fatal Push it in response, but yeah. Just got kind of stuck. Not being able to I mean, the Rishkar Winding Constrictor is still an insanely good play. Huh. Yeah, I just don't think that Glint-Sleeve Siphoner's really cut it in this match. I'd rather have the go bigger stuff. Like the Verdurous Gearhulks. I guess we can keep one in. Or we could go for some more removal like the Never Return. However, my opponent is playing a lot of low drop creatures. I haven't seen anything. The larger drop creatures are probably like Bristling Hydra. I don't want to get in a war of. We'll bring in a Dissenter's Deliverance though for sure. I still think Heart of Khran is in here somewhere. I think this is an acceptable hand, but I don't like the double deserts, as the double deserts are awkward for the damage race. But this is okay. We have Fatal Push. There's plenty of targets that Fatal Push is good against. We have the Winding Constrictor. If we see a Walking Ballista, that's going to be a great play. And if we can get to 5 lands, so we don't really have any dead draws except for 5 Bristling Hydras and Verdurous Gearhulk. So, and another Skysovereign Consul's Flagship. Pretty crazy we've been winning these aggro matchups without the Aethersphere Harvester too. That is usually the ones that beats these type of very aggressive decks. All right, so Sheltered Thicket into play. Tapped. And that is the most beautiful card because it allows for a good curve. We're going to run out the Fatal Push on whatever my opponent puts out this turn, even a Scrap Heap. I typically don't like to use a Fatal Push on the Scrap Heap because it's just such a renewable resource. But what we want to do is we want to get this Winding Constrictor and the Walking Ballista out with 2 counters on it. It's going to be an Attune with the Aether. And the Rampager, which will Fatal Push it. Hey, we drew a forest too. That was probably the best drop imaginable. There's the Constrictor. Oh yeah, this is a very sick curve now. My opponent can put out... So my opponent has some decisions to make. Like, unlicensed to disintegrate my Winding Constrictor this turn or deal with a Walking Ballista that's bigger. Of course, my opponent doesn't know that. And that's actually a good play too, because it allows us to do something here. We'll attune and just go get another forest, I believe. Now I could attack in. I don't think so, though. I think we want the Winding Constrictor. So you can see there's tons of options that we don't even play. Like Greenbelt Rampager actually might be good in this meta now because Fatal Push is still a thing, but Grasp is out. So one of the key things that kill Greenbelt Rampager, and it survives Lightning Strike. So just some food for thought of cards you can include in this particular deck. I think that there might not be enough room for the Siphoner and the Rampager. We're kind of spoiled with options. There's plenty at the moment. We'll take the 4. This is also a very decent card with I guess it's just Spell Snare. Is there any other good counter spells that came out? We'll take Brawler. And another Rampager. So the flood is real. However, we have one of the best cards coming out this turn. Called the Bristling Hydra. I'm going to go ahead and put a counter. No, we don't need to. We have the counter war going on. Well, I actually do think I need to put a counter on it right now. Just so it's up to a 6/5. Because that allows us to play around cut ribbons. And not have to respond to it. But possibly that wasn't the right play. Well, my opponent be brawling. However, usually when the board gets clogged like this... Oh, geez. So, I've got some options. I still think Skysovereign is better here. Because it stops this flood. And to be honest, I think I would rather take care of a Brawler than a Prowling Serpopard. Because of the... No. See, the Blossoming Defense is coming down here. Yeah, all we have to do is just stall out this game. There's the Scrounger. We do have the Dissenter's Deliverance for it. My opponent could make a move here with the Voltaic Brawlers. Again, I'm surprised I haven't seen a Heartacheron. My opponent decides not to do anything, which is probably the smart play. Here is another option. Oh, my opponent's just going to concede it. Yep. So the Skysovereign Consul's Flagship is just going to overwhelm this. And take over the game. It's the Mirror Breaker. But it's a very legit deck when my opponent was playing. The Jund, I would call that more Jund vehicles. I think that there is probably the Consul's Flagship and the Heartacheron that we didn't see. That's the whole reason of running the Unlicensed Disintegration and cards like the Greenbelt Rampager. So it's another option. So unfortunately, we got to see two options. I knew that this wouldn't shake up the format too much because everything, to be honest, I thought that Shadow's Innistrad was a pretty powerful block, and Battle of Dissenter had some powerful cards, like Gideon. I mean, I was one of the people that wanted Gideon when they banned the Aetherworks Marvel to throw out Gideon as well, because at that point there were two decks in the format, and I thought that just Mardu Vehicles would just run amok. So, I mean, there's some decent cards that were affecting the format significantly that rotated. However, a vast majority of decks, like Temur Energy, even this Jund vehicles, people would say the Mardu Vehicles is still playable. It's just Chandras in the place of, I mean, you lose Avacyn and Gideon, but a lot of you also lose the Thraben Inspector. But if you even approach the Second Sun, Torrential Gearhulk decks, God Pharaoh's Gift decks, a lot of those, nothing rotated. They're just some of the decks that we thought, some of the Delirium-based decks, or the Elder Deep Fiend decks, or Thought-Knot, the Thought-Knots and Reality Smasher type decks, they just didn't get a foothold in the meta before this rotation occurred. So hopefully Ixalan can switch things up, but Kaladesh is just a very, very push block, very extremely powerful. I don't really even see Dinosaurs really competing for what either Ravenous Red is doing, for example, or what Green-Black Energy. Look at the size of my creatures on turn 5, turn 6, compared to a Dinosaur maybe getting out a creature that big on turn 6, 7, turn 6, turn 7. I just don't see it happening. Could there possibly be a Naya ramp deck with Hour of Promise into the Gishoth? Sure. I don't know. I'm just skeptical, very cynical of Ixalan really changing a lot up. Anyway, that's my opinion. The last match will run on my channel. I guess Tempo people have been talking about for Ixalan. I don't think Tempo can compete with Walking Ballista and Winding Constrictor. I mean, where are they going to Tempo out? If I get that 2-drop out, it's going to be tough for a Pirate Tempo deck to kind of act like Fairies did. Anyway, last match we'll play another one maybe on my channel. This is kind of more of a boring one. Not much to do at the moment with Ixalan not being out yet, but rotation occurring. Hope you enjoyed it nonetheless. This has been Kevin with Gathering Magic. Thanks for watching.